evening. This is for the first time that now we are coming live from Asian College of Teachers. Very warm welcome to this special YouTube live show on Asian College of Teachers. My name is Shaunak, and we are sorry that due to certain technical issues, we are a little bit, delayed for this. The topic I would directly come today to the topic of the discussion. It would be 21st century learning teaching practices, the best practices that we have in 21st century. Joining with us is a distinguished speaker on this subject, Sunita Vohra. Very warm welcome, ma'am, to this special YouTube live show from Asian College of Teachers. Ms. Sunita Vohra has been an assistant headmistress of a very reputed college. She has been a distinguished speaker in certain areas, especially into teaching, mentoring, group mentoring, as well as leaderships and other skills. So a very warm welcome, and I really thank you for taking up time from your busy schedule to talk to us on this special YouTube live show for Asian College of Teachers.
Thank you so much, Shauna. Thank you so much. And I really want to thank Asian College of Teachers to give me such a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, ma'am, my first question that we would be is that we are talking about the 21st century learning, but what is first of all, my question would be, what is 21st century learning, and what was learning before this 21st century? I mean to say 20th or 19th or 18th century. We won't go back to that past, but at least the learning which was there prior to the 21st century. If you can just throw some light on that.
Right, Shauna. I would like to start with the Alvin Toffler words, where he said, I know you all must be aware of his words, the illiterate of 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write. Reading and writing, everybody can manage. But those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now, these are the very important three words which everybody should understand. What are we going to learn? What are we going to unlearn? Whatever practices, as you said, what we were practicing earlier, that's about 20th century. So we have to unlearn those practices, those conventional patterns. We have to be out of those conventional patterns. And we have to relearn, we have to rewire our brain, our mind to the 21st century learning. Now, what is 20? As you asked, what do you mean by 21st century learning? Now, 21st century learning is nothing. It is just developing your skills. Now, as you know, there are three types of skills: your learning skills, your literacy skills, and your life skills, which has to be a part of your classroom experience. That's very important, Shana.
That's right. So I mean to say that that means there has been a certain kind of adaptation that we have taken. I mean to say the
Yes.
adaptation techniques that we learned, particularly in this century. So can you tell us a little bit on what are the adaptation skills that we have learned?
Now, as you said, so you and me are from 20th century, as far as I can. I myself, my teacher, my class was more of teacher-centric class, where she used to
Absolutely.
just come, deliver the lecture, and copy down the notes and bye. But
Right.
nowadays, this is not happening. We have to have student-centric classes. We have to have integrated curriculum. Why integrated? Initially, we had no application. We knew whether we are studying history. We knew that we are studying maths, but how to apply it? We were not, in 20th century, we were not taught anything as such. But 21st century, lot of research-driven things are happening. So now this is what is adaptability. Adaptability it means in teaching world a whole bunch of things. Like if I talk about creativity, if I talk about critical in thinking, if I talk about collaboration, these all are adaptability techniques. Now, these learning skills help you to adapt. It is very important to acquire these learning skills to adapt to the present scenario. Market, you have to understand the market. You are the future, the students are the future citizens, so they have to be prepared in such a way where they can be first of all taught how to be calm in difficult situations. That is very important. Now a teacher in the classroom can teach this through skills.
Right.
Secondly, now new challenges. At times, child doesn't know how to face the challenge. We have to teach them through simple projects, simple collaborative the task given to them. This is how they actually adapt. And then, if I talk about nowadays, we follow the PAP plan, that is individualized plans. Now, why do we follow? Because every individual has a special skill set. That skill set has to be developed. And then only we
Right.
emerge and we are ready for the future world.
Absolutely. Now, I have a very subtle question to you, ma'am. Two things. Now, I have been listening to one of the great physicist and mathematician of Bengal,
Yes.
who's died many years
Mhm.
back, Dr. Amol Kumar Chaudhary. Now, I'll just give you an
Mhm.
example why I'm asking you this question. Now, he has been a great theoretical physicist, even worked with Stephen Hawking also. Now, the person was questioning what is the difference of the students between India and abroad. So he told that when you are telling over a class that this is so what Albert Einstein have told, the Indian students would agree to the point. Whereas if you go to Cambridge or to other European countries, they would say, let me look into it. Is it so? Have really Einstein asked that? So that kind of an inquisitive mind, which also keeps the teachers right on the edge of the seat, because it is not what you are telling in the 20th century. It is not more and no more an authoritative learning, but it's a constant way in which you're exploring the world and other ways. This is one part. The second
Yes.
part, which I would also like to ask you, is that you will see nowadays, even my daughter and everything, they're learning online. Possibly the COVID is over, so things have opened up. There is a very less amount of retention memorizing skill because everything is available on the internet. So any book, and sorry, any meaning, any biological term, any historical dates, they would quickly go over and they will, consult the internet in order to learn. Now, one thing that is good is that definitely those things which are not necessary are being automatically eliminated in this internet world because you can just look over to that. Because, when did Babur ascended the throne or when did what happen? I really don't remember because that is not important relative to the job or the work that I'm doing. So, internet is there, we can go there and we can see over that. But also, what I'm finding is that people and the students are restless. They're unable to concentrate on their studies. After 5, 6, 7 minutes, they will keep on fiddling over their WhatsApp or anything else. So, the amount of retention, the amount of memorizing capacity has also reduced. And that is why you say YouTube says that maximum a minute video cannot be more than 5 to 7 minutes because the students are unable to retain that. And it is not that we cannot remember 5 to 7 minutes. I myself or anybody of our generation or people, they see 1 hour, 2 hour lectures, we make notes and we remember that. So is this that the 21st century learning is coming as a, I would say, blessing that the some part of the learning unnecessary is being wiped off, and also as a vice because students are, they are losing up the capacity of memorizing, which at some point of time might be crucial in their progress of study.
That's very true, Shaunak. See, now, as you said right now, see, memorization of what? Initially, it was the content, the facts. Initially, the teachers were, just teaching those facts, transferring those information. But nowadays, you see, as you said, internet is already providing them the facts, the information, what is required in learn. Now, that is why the role of a teacher is changed from the teaching as a teacher. Now we don't call them as a teacher, we call them as facilitator. Why do we call
Facilitator,
them as
right?
a facilitator and a supervisor as well? There is a change in the role of a teacher also. A teacher can supervise, a teacher can facilitate learning. How? Now, the facts and all are all collected, but then the critical thinking of the child. Is the fact correct? Now, there where the child has to be taught. Now, again, 21st century skills creep in. Now, if I talk about project based, what all social skills, what all other skills they are developing when they're working as a team. Now, your internet cannot teach them, though metaverse is coming up, I agree. Internet can also help them with skills, social skills and all. But if you talk about the word one to one, these collaborations, these project based learning, these student centered classes where child is researching himself or herself to come up to the the result. So here it is more, the child is more informative, the child is more knowledgeable. Hand-on experiences again. Why do you think the virtual trips and all are planned? It is just the real world examples which we are showing them. They should understand what is sustainability. Now, all those 17 SDG goals we have to actually achieve till 2030. So, how are we going to achieve? We have to sustain. To sustain, we have to acquire some skills. So that is where whatever you said is correct. The teacher role is also changing, and we want the child to actually. There are chips and all coming. So chips will all automatically provide them all the information they need. What they have to do, they have to inquire, they have to gain knowledge, they have to research, and they have to formulate their own. This is how innovation will take place. We are looking forward for innovations, no?
But still, I don't. I mean to say, I really, I'm not arguing with you, but because this is just an informal discussion, which our viewers are also watching. Internally,
Yes.
I feel that somehow we are losing up on the creativity part. We are more of a machine driven creativity which is coming because of metaverse, which is even metaverse. I saw the Facebook ad, Mark Zuckerberg, they're claiming even they can, you can sense, you can touch and feel from here to New York on a party what is going on. Anyway, that is a long distance, almost look
Yes.
like a science fiction, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
is 21st century learning imbibing critical thinking? I acknowledge, ma'am, but what about original creativity? Because I don't want to bring this topic right because it might be off topic, but you will see for the last 50, 60, maybe 70 years down the line, somehow there is a loss in terms of music, art, literature, thinking, creativity. We are really losing up the creative part. Is it because we are much more automated today in the 21st century habits of collaboration and real world and flexibility? What are your views?
No, no, it's not like that, Shaunak. I'll just tell my viewpoint. It may be of others as well. Now, see, creativity is where you give the child an hand-on experience. So, in my case, if how I have studied, I used to just experiment a little in my lab. That is all what experimentation meant for me. Now, but in
Right,
today's world, they are given such innovative projects. You see the science project, you see the STEM thing coming up. This you are talking
right.
about past, just transforming from 20 to 21st. But by 2030, you see there will be a vast change in our education system. You will see the fraternity has changed altogether. Now, how? If you are giving a child any assignment, the child is doing the assignment on its own, on her own. Now, the
Right.
assignment which is done is research driven. The child is not looking forward to the teacher for the content, for the knowledge. The child is exploring. Now, while exploring, innovation can happen. The child is having hand on experiences. The child is having so many things in his, if I talk about the child will get deeper knowledge of the thing by doing it. If the child is not now, why do we say that sun rises in east and sets in west? This is a wrong theory which we were being taught earlier. But now the child, with the three-dimensional things coming up, the child is able to understand more in a more proper way. So these all things help the child to get the deeper knowledge. So these all,
But
see, these, even the culture government NEP 2020 is promoting this, all these things. If you talk about culture, if you talk about regional languages, if you talk about all these experiential learning, they are promoting all this. And you see, you just come, give us 10 more years, you'll see a vast change in you. There are so many edtech companies coming up now.
I would be happy to witness that. But one thing which
Yes.
kept me busy handling is that, for example, if I take my case of my daughter, around she is 12 years reading in class 7, the type of projects which the teachers are giving, I mean to say, so very recently they have done a electronic project and then go green project, and for
Yes.
example visiting Nalanda University, what would be your, take up the photographs and stick on the paper, etc. Now what is happening is definitely is an experiential learning, is a research based project, but what also it is coming as a kind of I would say bottleneck, that the out of the syllabus that the child needs to go, that is a huge pressure on that. What my point would be, I mean to say, if the viewers are also watching, that if you are giving an electronic project or any kind of a project, that's absolutely great. You can do a detailed research. But if you see, the curriculum is age-old based. You have to read, study so much amount of syllabus. Now that the child is getting time that, okay, I will put aside my study and little bit go into research or go to those places, visit and take the photograph and understand. So what I feel, what you have rightly told, that apart from the projects that are coming in, they are very new according to the 21st century. But if you see, the curriculum and the way of teaching is still age old. You need to summarize, you need to memorize, and you have to sit and you have to score. Given a chance, that kind of a learning is what I will come to. The next point is project based learning, which includes hands-on collaboration, multidisciplinary and real time. I think that kind of a study would ease down the pressure from the student, and they would happily participate. Whereas here what is happening, me and my wife, we are running across to gather this project because my child will be busy in memorizing the formulas of chemistry. Now that is not 21st century learning. I'm so sorry, I'm not
But
pointing
you
fingers,
are
but
developing social skills in your child. Do you realize that if you're taking your child out, the child is actually getting more knowledge when the child sees it? This is a hand-on experience again.
absolutely,
And of
absolutely,
course, your child is interacting with you. She's learning communication skills. So this all is very important,
absolutely,
which we are missing
absolutely. Only
nowadays.
thing is, yeah, only thing is that because of the curriculum, the basic curriculum pressure, I talk to all the parents around my school, around my daughter's class 7. She's in class 7. Around 75, 60 students are there. All of their parents are giving 100 rupees, 200 rupees to a person to get this project done. Now, there is a valid reason, because they are not getting time to furnish the curriculum. And that is also true, because if you don't pass, you don't get promoted. Now, what I'm trying to tell is there a way out for the schools also to inculcate a kind of a teaching practice which would take out the burden of doing and fearing in the examination, and they get involved into more research? If you just throw some light on that.
No, no, that's very true. I do understand the pain which the parents are, but I'll just make it clear. See, why do you think NEP is said that it will take 10 years to transform in this education? Why do you think? We are in the transformative age. But if you talk after 2030, I'm sure the curriculum which you're talking about will not burden the students. Flipped classroom, this thing has already started, where you can
Right.
get the information through video, but you can apply it in a different way. Now, at home, you can do a lot of research. Everything is given through the internet. You don't have to go and sit in the library. Everything is there on your
On the
phone,
internet,
on your
right?
gadget.
True. Very true.
So
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
what you're talking, see, it depends on the child also. We have to, as teachers, as facilitators, we have to instruct the child properly how to go about. We are not giving the projects, we are not giving these things to overburden the child or the parents. We are giving the project so that when you open that page, maybe on the net or maybe that book, you will read, and your knowledge, you'll get more deeper knowledge about, so few things which you're working upon. You will, of course, you will come
Absolutely.
to know about your heritage. I am giving the project, so that is there, isn't it? So it don't, underestimate. It will actually come up by 2030. I'm sure about it.
No, no, there's no question of underestimating. I'm saying that the
No, right now, I understand curriculum needs
curriculum
lot
is
of
right now.
changes. Yes, I
Right, right,
understand.
right, right. So my next question to you, ma'am, would be that when we are talking of in general 21st century, so we are giving actually a lot of ownership either to the parents or to the students. So your views on what
Yes.
is ownership and what is engagement?
Okay, I'll tell you. Now, engagement is something which is you are doing something. It reflects what the child is doing, and what the child is understanding. That is engaging the child in the
Right,
classroom experience. I'm engaging
right.
the child. Now, IB and all, they are providing the laptops in the class. First,
Absolutely.
they give the base, they prepare the foundation, then they give the laptop. Okay, now you explore and come up with your own points and ask. Be ready with your questions. So what are we doing? We are actually engaging them. We are making them do the project, or do understand more better, and move further on. Now, what I talk about this ownership is when you are able to articulate what you have learned. When you're able to note down the points, this is what takeaways, learning outcomes, what we talk about.
Right.
What is the
Absolutely.
learning outcome? Now, that is what is your ownership, that what you are learning, okay, what they are learning, and why are they learning. They have to understand the goals as well. What is the aim? We have to make the child understand the learning outcome and how is it going to apply, how the child is going to apply, and it is going to help in future. And
Absolutely.
then the child will come up to the strategies which will again lead to definitely innovation, which you just now mentioned.
Absolutely. And I have seen that, for example, if I take my daughter in that case, the pronunciation, the way of, watching the
Communication.
English movies, etc.,
Yes.
that has created a huge amount of social awareness. Now, this
Yes.
actually leads to my next point, ma'am. You were just talking about it. I won't say a technical term, but a jargon that you used in 21st century. That what is citizenship? If you can just explore some light on that.
See, citizenship is related to all. If I give example of India, Mahatma Gandhi is the model citizen. As if you'll ask more than 90% Indians, Mahatma Gandhi. Why? Because see, he cared for others. This is what is required to be a model citizen. How do you take care of others, other citizens? Second, you can always say it's only when the trust is built, then there are certain promises which the person, a good model citizen, has to make, and then definitely the other person is going to, promise your this thing. So you have to understand, model citizen is the person whom we look forward, a role model kind of a person who is
Right.
ready to give back to the country, or for that reason globally, to give back whatever the learning, whatever he has learned or he or she has learned.
Absolutely. Now, I have seen that this sometimes comes as a very awkward situation for the teachers. That, for example, because of the current internet, suddenly the student would ask a question which the teacher really doesn't know, because
Right.
it is impossible to know all everything at one go. So the next question is that how do we prepare learners for what we don't know yet as a teacher? I mean to say, how can we make them understand about that
Now,
scenario?
I'll tell you one thing. See, knowledge is very vast. Nobody is having the full knowledge. That's for sure. What we have to make understand the child, what we have to understand, make the child understand is that if you don't know the answer, we will all work together. We will be
Right.
working cooperatively and we will look forward for this answer. So you will show your confidence that way, and you will not be, not being seen down by the students if you will handle the situation smartly. So
That's
this
an
is what is
excellent
called
point.
actually teacher.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So collaborative teaching and cooperative learning, that would be a very important part of the 21st century, right?
Yes,
So now
definitely.
in this case, ma'am, my question would be, when we are talking of collaborating learning, how do we engage the peers? I mean to say, is it that with a slow learner we peer with a fast learner, or is it same? I mean to say, what would be your
There is
take in
no
that?
criteria as such. See, if we nowadays in class, also class practices, we have started this buddy thing, where a peer is tutoring
Buddy.
the other. Yes, isn't it?
Okay.
So here also, in this collaborative learning or teaching which you just spoke about, it will create better outcomes, obviously. Now,
Okay.
now that you are giving the responsibility to the other child to bring the weak child, or for that reason, other child who is not having that knowledge, that much of knowledge, you are bringing that child, uplifting that child, and bringing that child to your own level. So this is
Right.
where the cooperative learning will happen. And for this, you have to tell them about flexibility. That is where again 21st century skills will be required. They have to be flexible. My way is the highway. No, everybody has that thing, but then you have to understand that I have to help my buddy. The teacher has to make the child understand that we have to all work together as a team.
Right, absolutely. Those who are joining late, just a quick reminder that we are in touch with Ms. Sunita Vohra, and we are talking about 21st century learning skill directly. You're watching YouTube live from Asian College of Teachers. Well, ma'am, what I would say that we were talking before that today's show, that there is certain kind of a social skill that you would love to talk upon that. Now, uh, before you go ahead, definitely we are all willing to listen from you. I would also request you, if you emphasize upon the fact which I generally talk on my webinars to my students, is that if you have got a social account, whatever, be it a Facebook, Instagram, etc., there is something which is called a social responsibility. You being a netizen, giving proper
Yeah.
replies, not uploading certain profiles or anything which doesn't reflect that of a or that you are a teacher. I mean to say, yes, you can have a personal life, but you, at the end of the day, you are finally a teacher. So you breathe, eat everything as a teacher. So I would like to hear from you, and I request all those who are listening today to this YouTube live show, please have a very patient and a very clean understanding of what Sunita ma'am would be telling now. Over to you, ma'am. Social engagement, social responsibilities for 21st century learning.
Now, this is again a big responsibility on the teacher's, shoulders. I just When the teacher is giving a project or for that reason any work where the child has to search and browse, there are certain instructions, guidelines which the teacher should beforehand put it on the door, or wherever the child, wherever she's interacting with the learners, she should put it there and make it clear that we are here to learn. See, you have to prepare, you have to make the child aware. Self awareness is required here, where again you will be just supervising that what child is doing. The child is not using the, that netiquette which you spoke about. Now there are certain things, certain trainings which are going on for the same. So in coming time, we all will be requiring that training. How to handle such situations where you should know where you have your limitations. You cannot go beyond that, line. You cannot cross that line. So as a teacher, we just need to guide them. We need to supervise them. We should always tell them the do's and the don'ts before giving them and letting them, allowing them to browse. Shanak, are you there? Now, I would just like to good example of Whoosh Quiz, which was organized by HTI. Now, this was a great activity which was being done by HTI people. I don't know how many are aware, where it was done in your this setup, corporate setup. It was through wacky games that everybody was allowed to participate, and they actually, this is how they came to know that they could understand the set of skills which different people, diverse people were having. So these type of activities where you tell them beforehand, okay, these are the rules which you all have to follow, and these are the outcomes which we are looking forward for, definitely the response will be positive.
Right. Okay. So does that lead to? I mean to say, there are, we have seen in higher IITs and IIMs that there are open book a kind of an examination.
System, yes.
Because we are moving into this 21st century. Now everything is being totally done in a collaborative, engaged, peer buddy teaching, etc. So do you think that time will come when we won't have any more this conventional examination, thereby reducing the exam fear, and the learning and the outcome will be totally different? Do you, what would be
Definitely.
your views?
Definitely, the child will not be assessed. See, parents are wanting grades. They want a great child. But actually, we are not here to assess the child only on education. Education is a very broad term. You have to understand we are not here
Right.
only to assess academic part. We are here assessing the child all, again, I'll mention the skills. We are assessing all the skills which are required for the market, future. What is the demand of the market right now when they'll be moving out? Education is what it is related to your this employment. Why do you think in India there is so much of unemployment? Because we have been practicing those conventional patterns. So to move further on, we need to change these patterns first, and with that we need to first make the child understand that.
I really beg to differ, if you don't take me wrong, is that
No,
I
no,
don't think that I don't think education is something which is directly related to employment. Education, I would say, let us keep education separately. Okay, but the very point is that if we are now judging based on the 21st century practices, not just on what you rightly told is a grade factor, then the entire employment system, the marking between a good student and a bad student, competition, IITs, JAM, medical, grading, awards, everything has to change.
Yes, that's true. I truly, and it is changing. You see, there was nothing like liberal arts. There was nothing like common entrance. See, there are so many transformations going on, and we are looking forward for a better educational fraternity in coming time. Definitely.
Absolutely. So I think
Yes.
that in near future, we won't have employment just based on the merit of the student, but rather as a wholesome, that whether you can become as a problem
Holistic.
solver. Yeah, if you
Yes.
can solve a problem, you are there. So we are coming to the end of the program. My last question to would be, what are the ways of working? I mean to say, communication and collaboration taken together. What are the other factors? I would say the parents also need to, have with them, so that they can also help their children to adapt to this 21st century. What would be your advice for the parents to do?
Now, definitely, you being a parent, I'll ask you, what are you looking forward? You want a smart and a bright child, right? How will you make a child very smart to be in this competitive world? Now, how will you make the child? So, here you have to understand, first of all, very thing which you mentioned was the creativity. We should encourage the child's creativeness. If the child is coming up with simple art and craft also object, we waste material from the waste, we should actually appreciate and acknowledge it. What have you done? Mostly teachers, they are discouraging it. No. Painting, if the child is very good in painting, again we should encourage. So these critical thinking, now how do you think this critical thinking will help? The child will be able to develop a thing when the child thinks out of the box. The child is
Right.
thinking. Now, if I talk about flexibility, decision making, how do you think the decision making skill is developed in the class experience? Decision, now the onus, the or responsibility, when the child is being given the responsibility, the child is allowed to take a small decision. This is how you are, while choosing the
Right.
this thing, curriculum, all this, or we are involving the children now.
Right. And I think that you also being an educator, you would give a message to the society as well, to all the schools, that as early as possible we can take up the 21st century, because this COVID-19 actually has taught a lot to us.
Yes. So
So
there is, I've already spoken everything, but I'll just say that if you want to really build future ready students, we should not cater, if we have to really cater to the Indian market needs, then you have to embrace holistic professional thinking and growth. It is professional growth, professional thinking, and that can be developed by developing skills in the class experiences.
absolutely. So just to summarize today's wonderful show, talk and experience with Sunita Madam, is that it will take around 10-15 years. The government is taking up every responsibility to that. As a parents, we also have the additional responsibility to imbibe this culture of 21st century among the students. Yes, there are collaborative teaching and learning effort, and we will soon see a new world when the students
Yes.
won't be judged in terms of grade, but rather as a holistic approach.
Holistic
So,
profession.
yeah, thank you very much, ma'am, for joining with us in this special YouTube live show, which we are first conducting live from Asian College of Teachers. And I thank all the viewers who have been. It has been an enriching, great discussion with one of the premier educators today. And thank you, madam, for taking up time from your busy schedule and educating us.
Thank you so much. I really want to thank you and your college. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
And
very
the
much.
viewers.